Today's class we are going to discuss about the requirement engineering. Now we will define what is requirement. A requirement may be ranges from a high-level abstraction statement of a service or of a system constraint to a detailed mathematical function specification. This is inevitable as the requirements may serve as a dual function. Maybe the basis for the bid for the contract, therefore, must be open to interpretation. Maybe the basis for the contract itself, therefore, must be defined in detail. Both these statements may be called as requirements. The requirements are of basically two types. One is user requirement, the second one is system requirement. System requirements in natural language plus diagrams of the services that the system provides and its operational constraints. These are written for the customers. System requirements, a structured document setting out detailed description of the system functions, services, and operational constraints. System requirements define what should be implemented, so may be a part of contract between the client and a contractor. Requirements are of three types. One is user requirements, second one is system requirements, third one is domain requirements. User requirements, the people may be involved are client manager, system end users, client engineers, contract managers, and system architects. These are the people involved in the user requirements. The system requirements, people involved are system end users, client engineers, system architect, software developers. Software design and specification phase, the people involved are client engineers, system architects, and software developers. Functional requirements. Functional requirements, as we have already stated, the statements of the services that the system should provide, how the system should be reacted to the particular input, and how the system behave in a particular situation. Non-functional requirements. Non-functional requirements are basically constraints on the services or the functions offered by the system, such as timing constraints and constraints on the development, constraints on the procedures, and constraints on the standards, and etc. The domain requirements can be stated as requirements out and refer to functional requirement describes the function system, requirements software, expected users and the type of the system and where the software is used. The functional requirement may be high-end level abstraction statements of what a system should do, but the functional requirement should be described the services in detail. Requirements types we have discussed. Now we'll discuss something about the non-functional requirements. The non-functional requirements define the system properties and constraints like reliability, response time, and the storage requirements. Constraints are I/O devices capacity and system representations, system memory capacity, hardware capacity, etc. The process requirements may also be specified, mandating to a particular case systems, programming languages, development methods. Non-functional requirements may be more critical than the functional requirements. If these are met, the system is, if the non-functional requirements are not met, then the system is useless. Non-functional requirements are broadly categorized into three types. One is product requirements, second one is organizational requirements, and third one is external requirements. And coming to the product requirements, these product requirements are again divided into 4 types. One is usability requirements, second one efficiency requirements, and third one reliability, fourth one is portability. Usability requirements states about how the system can be used efficiently. And efficiency requirements talks about performance requirements and space requirements. The system is said to be efficient if it requires less amount of space and executed very fastly. The reliability requirements depends on the failure rate of a system. Thus, it also depends on the robustness of a system. And the fourth type of product requirements are portability. So this says how easily that the devices can be carried out from one place to another place. So far we have discussed product requirements, which is the first category of the non-functional requirements, and the second category of the non-functional requirements is organizational requirements. These organizational requirements are categorized into 3 types. Number 1, delivery requirements. Number 2, implementation requirements. Number 3, standards. Organizational requirements mainly talks about the policies and procedures adopted by the organization. And third type of non-functional requirements are external requirements. These external requirements are again categorized into 3 types. One is interoperability requirements. This says about how one system can be connected with other systems. If you consider an example, TV, how this TV can be connected with the USB, how the TV can be connected with the DVD writer, DVD reader, how the TV can be connected with the audio and video players. So how these systems are connected tells about interoperability requirements. And second type of external requirements is ethical requirements. And ethical requirements, and the third type is legislative requirements. These legislative requirements are again further divided into 2 types. One is privacy requirement, second one is safety requirements. So requirements are having different types of measures. Speed can be measured in the number of processed transactions per second, and speed can be measured in user event response for a time period, and the speed can be measured in the screen refreshment time. And similar manner, the size can be measured in the megabytes or the number of ROMs or ROM chips used. And the third one, ease of use requirement can be measured in training time and number of helpline frames. And the other one is reliability. This reliability can be measured in mean time between the failure, and second measure of the reliability is the probability of unavailability of the system, and third one, the measure for the reliability is rate of failure occurrence, and fourth one is availability, which is a measure for the reliability. And robustness can be measured time to restart the system after the failure, the percentage of the events causing failure, the probability of the data corruption on the failure. And portability can be measured the percentage of the target dependent statements, the number of the systems. Requirements conflicts different non-functional requirements are in complex systems. If you consider an aircraft system, the aircraft system efficiency can be measured by performance and the space occupancy. And if the performance is more, means the distance it is traveled for a time span is more, then the efficiency can be considered as a more. And the space required for the different types of devices is less, then the product efficiency can be considered as a more. The reliability can be achieved if the mean time between the failure rate is less, then it is high reliable. And the portability, if you can carry the devices very easily, the devices are said to be portable. Domain requirements, these are the requirements derived from the application domain and describes the system characteristics and the features that reflect the domain. The domain requirements may be new functional requirements, constraints on the existing systems, or defined specific computations. If the domain requirements are not satisfied, then the system may be unworkable. Domain requirements can be understood by the two features. One is understandability, second one is implicitness. User requirements is the next type of requirements. These requirements should describe the functional and non-functional requirements in such a way that they are understandable by the system users who don't have detailed technical knowledge. The user requirements are defined either in the natural language or by the tables or by the diagrams, as these can be understood by all the people. Problems with the natural language: when the user requirements are specified in the natural language, there are three types of problems we are getting. One is lack of clarity. Precision is difficult without making the document to read. And second type of problem that we are getting with the natural language is requirement confusion. Functional and non-functional requirements tend to be mixed up. The third problem that we are getting with the natural language is requirement amalgamation. Several different requirements may be expressed together. Requirements problems. The database requirements include both conceptual and detailed information. Grid requirements mixes three different kinds of requirements: conceptual functional requirement, non-functional requirements, and non-functional user interface requirements. Thank you.